Lord, thank you. Oops. All right, awesome. Welcome everybody to New Builders Coaching. Let's open it up with some prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for this time we have together, and thank you for each of the people here and the dreams that you've placed on their heart and the purposes and callings you have for them, for the ways that's going to ripple out and bless lives they're not even aware of yet. We ask that you would strengthen and encourage us to be obedient, even when it's scary, even when there are nerves, doubts, fears, pressures, all the things we're going to talk about tonight. We pray that you would walk with us, link arms with us, empower us, and show us the way. Bless the words that are spoken tonight, the questions that are asked, just be in and around each person who is speaking up on tonight's call. We're so thankful for those that are willing to do that. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay, friends. Oh, thank you, Kylie. Kylie's listening in from her daughter's basketball game. Okay, so we won't ask you to unmute tonight. We'd probably be getting a lot of cheers and squeaks in the background, but thank you for being in the chat. Okay, question for the group. Again, if you're just hopping on, these coaching calls are very interactive, so we want to hear all the thoughts as we pose these questions. If I were to say, you will be senior silver by this weekend. Okay, and some of you on here, maybe you're already senior silver, so your next goal is gold. So what if I were to say to you, you're going to be gold by this weekend? Or if you're just brand new, you're going to be senior silver by this weekend. I would like you to ponder, what does that bring up for you emotionally? What feeling does that bring up for you? Write it down, write it in the chat. There is no wrong answer. There is no bad answer to this question. I purposely made what I would consider to be kind of a wild statement, not impossible at all, but kind of a wild statement, because I really want to know, what does it bring up for you? What emotional response comes up for you when you hear something like that? Or if I were to say something like, you're going to earn those Nikes tomorrow. You're going to earn those Nikes tomorrow. Okay. Not impossible, but may feel a little out there. And I want to know what emotional response it brings up in you. So throw it out there. I don't see any brave responders yet. I'm letting it be awkward and silent until people start answering. Okay. Roberta says, can you repeat what we are to do? Yes, Roberta, if I were to say, you will be at your next rank by this weekend, or you will earn the Nikes tomorrow, what emotional response does it bring up for you? Okay, I see excitement, excited. I see terrified. Eee, thank you for being honest. Excited, terrified, excited and a little scared, pure joy. Anybody feel a little doubt? Anybody feel some fear? Anybody feel some nerves? Shara says excitement, but anxious, fear of failing. Yeah. Thank you. Keep throwing them out there. Kylie said, boom, not really an emotion. Yes, it is. That is called shine. If you haven't read Tiny Habits, that emotion is called shine. Boom, I love it. Okay, so I said this earlier, neither of those types of responses is bad. They are clues. Emotional responses, feelings, are clues that help us become aware of thoughts we are thinking. And most of us don't think about our thoughts. Most of us just assume our thoughts are true. We have thoughts. Oftentimes we have the same thoughts for many, many, many years of our life. And we never step back and actually think about our thoughts. We just have the thoughts and we assume they're true. We assume they are the truth. So it's really helpful to pause and examine the emotional responses we get. And if we experience emotions like resistance, avoidance, terror, fear, nerves, doubt, it's really helpful to ask ourselves, what thought am I thinking that's giving me that feeling? And take some time to be aware of that thought, because that thought is driving our behaviors. Whether we acknowledge it or whether we ignore it, is driving our behaviors. And our behaviors create our outcomes. They create everything about what we experience day to day. They create the outcomes. So we can ignore those thoughts and just be ignorant to them, or we can take a minute to examine what they are, and then we have a lot more power. We can do a lot more from there. Sarah, thank you for elaborating. She said, terrified, just because I know all the hard work that would come with that. Possible cold calls, not enough time spent building a relationship. Okay, so you're terrified because you're terrified that you would be doing icky things, things that feel really uncomfortable, or things that might repel people. Yes, thank you for elaborating. Okay, and I'm so glad you said that, because I guarantee you multiple people on this call have that same fear. And that's an obstacle, that's a hang up that's maybe keeping them from being able to get to their next goal, their next rank, earning the Nikes, hitting senior silver, hitting gold. Okay, so got to become aware of the thoughts that we're having that are behind those emotions. So sit with those thoughts. Sarah, you wrote yours out. Everybody think about what thought is behind your emotional response. Sit with that and ask yourself, what meaning am I attaching to this thought about me? What am I making that mean about me? Okay. What am I making that mean about me? Why do I want you to think about that? Because it's going to help you unlock. It's just going to help you unlock what's driving your behavior. The next thing we can do is we can purpose to set our mind on thoughts that are helpful for how we want to feel. So a lot of you said you feel joy, excitement, shine, boom, when you think about hitting your next rank next week or getting the Nikes tomorrow. So that's amazing. That's wonderful. And I would still encourage you to think, what thought am I believing that's causing me to feel that emotion? Because that thought is going to be driving your actions and your behaviors. It's really helpful to understand those thoughts. But if you're feeling doubt and nerves and fear and pressure, those aren't bad emotions. They're clues to what we're thinking. Now, what we can do once we become aware of our thoughts is we can purpose to set our mind on thoughts that will help us create the outcome that we want. And they have to be believable thoughts. They can't be BS thoughts. It can't be like, I don't know, I can't think of one right off the top of my head, but you all know what I'm saying, right? You can't just speak an affirmation and make your brain believe it, even if you feel like it's 100% bullcrap. It has to be believable and helpful. So I'm going to give a few examples that I have found really helpful for myself this month. Okay. One of them I got from Megan. Everything's easy once you understand how to do it. That thought has just been life-giving to me. Tell us the story, Megan. Where did it come from? Your dad?
That came from my dad.
I love it. So everything's easy once you understand how to do it. So maybe part of why we feel doubt, nerves, fear, pain, avoidance, resistance is because we're not exactly sure how to do the thing. And it's a new skill and it's going to require learning and practice, but that doesn't mean it can't be done. It doesn't even mean it's hard. It's just hard. It certainly doesn't equal impossible. So it's just a matter of learning how I'm gonna learn those skills. Another thought that I find very helpful, believable and helpful, is to ask myself, what's the best that could happen? What's the best that could happen? We're so good at imagining what's the worst that could happen. So when I shift my brain toward what's the best that could happen, I start coming up with a lot more helpful, productive ideas. This one is amazing. I know exactly what to try next. I know exactly what to try next. Now, since you're new in this business, that one may be tougher because you may not feel like you know exactly what to try next. So I would challenge you to say that anyway, to wake up each day with your goal in your mind and to say, I know exactly what to try next, even if you feel like you don't know. because just saying that is going to help your brain start filling in the blanks. And if you still struggle or you feel like you hit a wall when you say that, I want you to take a guess. Take a guess. What is something I could try next? If I knew exactly what to try next, what would it be? Really get your brain working for you, because your brain is hardwired to fill in the blank and answer those questions. So if you feed it like, well, why am I no good at this? Or why is this so hard for me? Your brain's going to come up with an answer. But if you start asking questions like, I know exactly what to do next. What might that be? Your brain will start filling in the blank, coming up with answers. And I also wanted to just challenge everybody to think about this. Think about something that you were bad at the first time you tried it, and now you're really great at it. Anybody got anything that pops to the top of your head? How about walking? 100% of the people in here were bad at walking when you first tried it. And now you're really good at it. And I hope that that serves as evidence for you that there are many, many more things in your life that you will be bad at first. And then you will look up one day and be like, I am so good at that. When did that happen? How did I get so good at that? And you'll just pat yourself on the back because it'll feel second nature. Plexus is the same way, guys. Like I tell everybody brand new starting my team, in a few weeks, this little thing, maybe I'm teaching them how to have a conversation with someone who's commented on a post, or maybe I'm teaching them just what products to recommend for what issues. I tell them in 2 weeks, this is going to feel like second nature. Okay, so there's lots and lots of things like that. All right, so let's jump in. I feel like I might need to text Alexis and just remind her, because I still don't see her. I don't see her on yet, but she did say for 100% sure she was coming. So I'll try and check in with her real quick. Megan, while I'm doing that, do you have any thoughts you want to add in before I jump in with Madison?
No, I just am resonating with everything that you say, just as we're just being reminded about how much our thoughts creates everything so much for us. I feel like I'm on repeat with that line, but like Carissa said, get our brains working for us, because our brains are naturally going to go to the negative. Like, I think that's just maybe human nature. So we have to combat that. And also be aware that not everything your brain dreams up is actually true, which is why those scriptures say what they do about taking our thoughts captive. And also that scripture in Proverbs that talks about, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. And we've used this analogy in multiple times. But if you are a runner and you run like 5Ks or 10Ks or Ironmans, Ironwomen's, whatever those races are, if you start the race out telling yourself you're going to lose, guess what's going to happen? Like the way you prepare, and this is like, I guess I do this in my brain before doing something hard. For me, like one practical thing would be preparing for childbirth. I don't go in without being mentally prepared. Like I prepare my brain in so many ways. Like I run through the whole process in my mind multiple times. Like the closer I get to having a baby, like it's I don't know, visualization, like thinking through the process from start to finish, helping prepare my mind and body for that experience. Now, we're not going to always have prep time like that, right, for certain things, but before successful runners race a race, guess what they're doing? They are mapping out the course, they're charting it out, they're going through in their mind, like pre-thinking about how that race is going to go and how they're going to finish, right? And so anyways, I'm just such a visual person that I think through those things. I even on my morning walks or runs in certain seasons of my business, I've definitely equated it to plexus, seasons in my business, or like I'm viewing my next rank up as like finishing a race, or maybe it's a contest, maybe it's a really big contest, and I'm like, wow, how are we going to do this, right? And so I would just encourage you guys to really hone in on the thoughts that you're thinking. I'm resonating with what Carissa is sharing. So it's the same thing that we've been talking about for a little bit, but sometimes hearing it in a different way from a different person can just drive it home for us. So
yeah. Okay, I got a hold of Alexis. So she's
Okay.
going second anyway. So we're
Okay,
good.
perfect.
Okay, Madison, are you ready to unmute?
Yes.
All
Hi.
right. Welcome. Love
Hi.
beautiful balloons.
Oh, thanks. I'm in Angie's office.
Yeah, pretty awesome. Great way
Yeah.
to step up your day. Well, so Madison, do you want to share a little bit about how your Plexus journey is going so far? How you've kind of gotten to where you are, what's worked well, what wins you've had?
Yes.
Okay.
My Plexus journey has been interesting. I started out a huge hater, like huge hater. I guess it started about mercy. I don't even know. I've been on a Plexus journey for about 6 years. Yeah. And I came out of being a hater into taking the products because I was desperate. After having my first baby, I was having like horrible stomach problems, like horrible constipation, super depressed, just struggling with all of those things. And I've been going to doctors and nothing was really helping. And so I had to suck up my pride and ask Angie for a triplex.
Mhm.
And so that's kind of how I got started. And I didn't really start sharing until, so that was in 2017. I didn't really start sharing until 2019. And at that point, I was not consistent with sharing. I started sharing for the iPad incentive. I don't know who remembers that, but I was like, I'm winning that iPad. Like, no matter what it takes, I'm gonna win it. So I did earn it. And then I was kind of just like, oh, I earned the iPad, like whatever. So I didn't really work my business hard. I knew what I wanted, but I didn't really know what I was doing, and I wasn't super serious about it. So I actually wasn't super serious about it until convention of this year
Okay.
in June in Columbus. And I was like, okay, I can totally do this. Like, I can make it to the top. I have everything it takes. I'm a huge people person. I love people. I could talk to a brick wall.
Mhm.
So I was like, I can totally do this. And I was already gold. I have not re-ranked in a few months.
Mhm.
So that's my next goal is re-ranking because yeah, I want to go to Mayakoba next year. So
Yeah.
so that's kind of my
Definitely.
story.
So, sorry.
You're fine.
So the first point where you started sharing and had great success and earned an iPad, the actions came from this thought, this belief that like,
Mhm.
no matter what it takes, I am earning that. And you 100% believed it. And so you woke up every day and did what it took
Mhm.
to get there. And then the next few months that came, what was the belief? What was the thought that was, I guess, creating your actions the months after that? Can you identify it?
Well, I did not have like a ton of actions, just honestly,
That's okay.
because
Inaction is also an action. So
yeah,
what thought was driving the inaction?
I think like sometimes when there's something so tangible and it's like at our, like, not at our fingertips, like obviously I had to work for it, but like I knew, okay, I have to get 6 people and then I get this. And
Mhm.
so for me, it was just like, okay, I'm ticking off the people like one at a time. Okay, I got this person. Great. Then I'm gonna, get this person. Then I'm gonna, you know what I'm saying? Till I got the number I wanted. And then after that, I was like, oh, well, I don't really have a goal now. So I kind of I didn't look at it as like, this is what I want to do with my life.
Yeah.
Until like this last year. And I lost 35 pounds between January and June.
Yes.
And so then I had a million people asking me like, what the heck are you doing?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, like this is what God's called me to do. I've researched so much and I've learned so much. So I decided really wanted to start sharing and that this is what I wanted to do in my life. And that, yeah. So
Yeah. So you have a lot of really strong beliefs for why you're going to do this with your life.
yeah.
I can get to the top. I love people. I could talk to a brick wall. Like I love people. I have everything it takes. I want to go to Mayakoba. God has called me to do this. I believe you when you say you believe those things.
Mhm.
So that's really powerful stuff. So I'm curious what you think. What do you think is the reason you're not at gold right now?
A huge reason is because I was signing people up and
Mhm.
then I kind of was just like, all right, they're signed up. I didn't really know exactly what to do next or what to say next. I didn't believe that I could I believed I was terrible with like wording and that I didn't make any sense when I was like communicating with people. And then I would get really frustrated with myself and I would just be like, okay, like, so my follow up was really lacking.
Mm,
Um, I actually have a lot of people on my team, but like most of them don't order anymore because I was not good with follow up.
okay.
Um, so I'm a lot better now, but
That's awesome.
yeah, so I think that's where I've been lacking and that's why I'm not at gold anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a fantastic realization because that is a totally learnable skill.
Mhm.
And it honestly doesn't mean anything as far as a flaw about you. I'm experiencing you to be a really great communicator
Mhm.
and you're making perfect sense. So
Thank you.
where does that come from? Is there a root there? Is there a reason you sort of, I mean, it sounded like almost like a little identity issue. I'm not believing you're a good communicator, not believing you really make sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like I feel I think I've made wording to people and messages like such a big thing. Like I feel like that's like a make or break. And I think I just got so in my head that my mindset was just like, oh, whatever I'm saying to them doesn't make any sense. So I would find myself constantly asking, Angie or someone else, like, what should I say next? Like, what should I say? And I still do that.
Okay.
It's a work in progress, but I think it's just like a lack in confidence.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I think that's what it is. It's just a lack in confidence of
Mhm.
my own knowledge and like, I don't know.
I think that's really, yeah, I think that's probably really true. And so it sounds like one task before you is to maybe do some digging into like, how can I get out of my head
Mhm,
and how can I grow my confidence?
mhm,
So I would honestly challenge and encourage you to like look around for some books or some YouTube videos that teach ways to get out of your head and teach ways to grow your confidence. There is a book called Get Out of Your Head that's phenomenal. So maybe that's your next personal development book on your list.
okay. I am actually doing a mindset training after this.
Yeah,
So,
good for you. Good for
yeah,
you. Because again, like identifying, okay, why was I getting in my head so much? Why was I making wording make or break? How can I grow my confidence? How can I get out of my head? If you're identifying that as something that's kind of hung you up or caused you to
yeah,
maybe feel like you've fallen back a little bit, then you can definitely pursue those specific. There's lots of mindset training, but on those specific issues. Genevieve Scory always says you can't say the wrong thing to the right person.
mhm,
Um, and another person I love for really good verbiage is Emily Gibson. So
mhm,
if you can follow her on YouTube and kind of catch up on her stuff, if you like just gathering new wording ideas,
yeah,
this is a great one to learn from. But also, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. So there will be times where you need to go, you know what, like this isn't going to be perfect, but I'm going to send it anyway.
Okay.
I'm going to show up and give this person good care, or I'm going to show up and move this person to the next step to get their order placed.
That's really good.
Okay. So then you said you got really serious this last convention.
Mhm.
And so I would also like to know what has changed now? What is your why?
Okay. Well, a couple things that changed is I got a lot more confidence when I lost 35 pounds. Because I I really hated most things about myself before that. Not that there was anything wrong with myself before that. I just didn't have any confidence. And so that really helped going into convention because convention was in June and that was the month I hit my goal. And then going into convention, I was like, okay, I feel really good. And then all of the things I learned there, I was just really reassured me. Okay, what was the question again? Sorry, I just
No,
got
it's okay. What is your why? Now that you
Okay.
know that you're all in with Plexus, what's your
Okay.
why? Why do you want to keep growing?
So, my husband works all the time. He is a workaholic, and um my biggest why is because I really want to take some of the financial burden off of him and be able to for him to be able to be home more and us to get to travel more together. And because him and the kids and I love to travel, we go on one big trip every year, but I would like to be able to do that more. And I also really, as far as helping other people, I see so many people that remind me of where I was 7 months ago.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I really want to help them too, because I feel like everyone can have this. It's like a freedom
Mhm.
after achieving such a huge goal that you
Mhm.
have. And so I want to help other people feel that same way
Mhm.
too. So those are my two whys.
Yeah. Do you try to post several times a week or weave
Yeah.
Plexus in your posts?
I
Okay, good.
have been really working hard on posting.
Good. Way to go. Do you reach out to everybody who engages with your posts?
No.
Okay. Why not?
Some of them I'm scared of them.
Okay.
Um, I know that I need to be doing that. I know that's what I need to be doing. And if I'm with Angie, a lot of times she'll be like, "Ugh, just message him, just do it." And I'm like, okay. So
Yeah.
she'll give me a burst of energy and I'm like, all right, I'm messaging him right now. And then 10 minutes later, I'm like, they responded. Oh no. What do I do? Um, so I know that I need to be engaging with every one of those people. And some of them are dream teamers, but I'm like, oh, they're gonna tell me no. Why would I even bother? Because they're just gonna be like, no.
Yeah. Well, and you did that, right? You were a
Yes.
huge hater for years. But what else was also true? You hated most things about yourself.
Mhm.
So, is it possible that there are people engaging with your posts who will tell you no and might even be mean to you about it, but also hate most things about themselves and are miserable? um, and so I wonder if you can have both of those things in your mind at once and ask yourself what's the best thing that could happen. And maybe you can help one other person hate themselves less. So
Mhm.
those are strong words and it breaks my heart. And I know that it breaks your heart because you've lived it. And so if you can be heartbroken for them, knowing that they might very well be where you were sitting. And I like to also, by the way, side tip, I really like to word a lot of my posts in that way, not just, yay, look at me, I've lost 35 pounds,
Mhm.
but to say, I remember when I was sitting right where you are and I hated myself and it's awful. And I want to help you not feel that way, or I want to help you break free. I'm just kind of using your own words. But side thing would just be to challenge you in your posts to speak directly to, like you're talking to someone who's sitting there reading your post, feeling how you felt when you were so desperate that you sucked up your pride and asked Angie to try the triplex. There are people out there that's kind of right where they are, and you want to speak right to that place, right where you were when you were so desperate that you actually did the thing you had been hating on for years. I think the thing that will give you more confidence as you start reaching out to the people that are engaging in these posts is most of them won't be mean. You've probably experienced that already. But it's totally okay if they tell you no, especially since you said no for so long, and now here you are, and this has like changed your life, broken you free, given you confidence. You don't hate most things about yourself anymore. So allow it to be true that they might ignore you. They might tell you no. They might, what's the word? It's like they might assume the worst of you, but I feel like from your own experience, you can see that like when somebody hates most things about themselves, it's no wonder they're going to be a hater, your words, be a hater to the people and the things that offer them hope. And so it's almost a way that you can be a servant. You can bear some, and I don't think 95% of people are honestly going to attack you, but let's just say that some dream team or person who hates most things about themselves lashes out at you for offering hope and offering help. It's a way to be a servant, to be like, I can bear it. You can take it out on me. I can handle that because I've been where you are and I know how painful it is. And when you're ready, I'm here for you.
Okay.
So I don't know. I hope that breathes a little life and encouragement into you that like, yeah, that stuff does happen. That stuff does happen to me. Not that often, but I think you can handle it.
Yeah.
Especially because of your why, especially because you're out there helping others break free from something that you've been through that was really painful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I say, I mean, like, okay, I didn't like hate myself as in like, oh, I'm a horrible person. I was very depressed because, like I had been 100 pounds. Like I could never get over 100 pounds until I got married and had Madeline. And then I gained like over 70 pounds. And so that's really hard for a person like to, just, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I had no confidence. So getting confidence in yourself really helps with wanting to help other people.
Yeah.
And yourself.
And I think that can be a thought that you begin to repeat, that like, I'm here to help others get their confidence back. Like I got mine back.
Yeah.
And even if they're not ready to hear it at first, that's okay. I'm here when they're ready. But you have to be the one to start that conversation. I would also invite you to analyze a little bit of how it went back and forth with you and Angie, because my guess is she probably dropped on you a lot. It probably wasn't just that one day you just magically were like, I'm going to try Plexus. No, she probably was reminding you, checking in with you, saying, are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? And that kind of intentionality often goes unseen unless we like look back. You could even ask her to like tell you what are some of the intentional ways that she stepped out. Maybe she was even terrified. I'm going to look for her face right now. Angie, were you ever terrified to bring it up again?
Not really.
You knew that it was.
I just knew in the right timing, like you said, like Genevieve says, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person at the right time, whatever her exact words are. But I just felt like in time they would, all of the kids would come around, and I knew that Madison, at some point would see that she needed it as much as, just because she's not old like me. I knew she would need it too.
Yeah.
But I did drip, like you said, I dripped things along the way and I honestly still do look for every opportunity to remind, my kids or whoever I'm talking to, about the products and how important good gut health is. And I feel like that's just kind of what I did with Madison as well.
Yeah. And so maybe the last thing I would leave you with, Madison, is do a little bit of self-exploring for why you're so afraid of people thinking you're annoying, or maybe people just not being happy with you. Because that's going to be a big part, I think, of your growth journey. If you want to go to Mayakoba, that means you want to be emerald. And then I'm guessing eventually sapphire and diamond. And a big thing that emeralds, sapphires, and diamonds have to learn is how to be okay when others aren't okay with me. I've had to learn that all along the way. I've had to learn how I can be okay even if you're not okay with me. So that is a great just prompt for you to journal about, like, okay, so what if I bother them, or what if they're not interested or ready right now and they're annoyed with me? Or, you can kind of just follow that to its natural conclusion. Ask yourself, okay, well, what am I making that mean about me? And if that's true, then what? Okay. And then burrow it down all the way to like your identity before God, what's true. And, just allow yourself to go there a little bit, because, I'm going to see you in Mayakoba, and I guarantee you that when you are emerald, you're going to have really thick skin.
Yes. And Megan's, I did the 100, what was it? Like the 100-person reach out. Is that what we did after, like when Reset came out? I did that like fearlessly. I was like, I hate reaching out to people, but like Megan's doing this challenge and I have to do it. So I'm just going to like reach out to 100 people. And that really helped. A lot of people didn't answer. A few said no, but I signed up a few people from doing that. So it really showed me like, well, if I don't reach out to these people, some of them might not like ever message me, like, and so like those people that signed up, like they would have probably not ever messaged me.
Right.
So anyways, that did help a lot, and I'm learning and I'm getting less scared. There's just a few people that I'm like childhood friends, I'm like, I really want her to do this with me, but like, what if she says no and thinks I'm annoying?
Yeah. And you can totally tell her that. You can be like, and voice message it and just be like, listen, I have been terrified to send you this because I really feel like you're going to respond and think I'm annoying. But here goes. I really want you to do this with me. Like, you can be real. Also, Melody said above, and you just verified this, confidence comes after the action. So often we think that confidence comes before that, like confidence, motivation, those feelings come and then we do the action, but actually the action produces more and more of those. So that is true. And then also I am picking up a trend that you do really well when you have very tangible So use that to your advantage. Like the iPad thing was so cut and dry for you. Add 6, get the iPad. That totally like lit you up. Yeah. Or the 100-person reach out. Just you were like, okay, 100 reach outs, gonna do it. So I think that you would probably do well to give yourself some sort of bare bones for every day. Mm-hmm. And don't make it too big too fast. Because the best way to kill a habit is to make it too big too fast. So give yourself a tiny bare bones that you're like, I want to tick those at least those 3 or 4 boxes every day. But it sounds like you really respond well to that. So I would challenge you to do that too. Okay. All right. Well, Megan,
I have a question for you. Am I remembering correctly that Jessica Heffley went through your friends list and like screenshotted people to you?
Yep.
But what was it about those people?
She went through my friends list. She took screenshots of their Facebook profiles. A lot of them were people we both knew, but she felt like I knew them better and I would have a better shot in getting them in. But I honestly think she just took pictures of anybody that looked cool or normal, like a cool, influential, normal person. Yeah.
But were you game for reaching out to them?
Oh no. At first I did not reach out to any of them. But it was, pursuing training videos, watching different videos, and just in those moments where suddenly motivation was on my side, I maybe caught those moments of vision. I thought to myself, well, what's the worst they can do is say no, I mean, what are they get? What's going to happen? And I tell you what, guys, like, it was crazy what happened. I reached out to those people, some of them I did not know very well. And I remember driving to our Christmas vacation, and one of them responded to my message, and she said, actually, I have been thinking of trying Plexus. I have an autoimmune disorder, and if it helps me, I'm going to sell it. No joke. That was her response. And she is someone I hadn't spoken to in probably 6 years, 7, 8 years. I don't know how long it had been, but she was not offended. She was not annoyed. She was desperate, and she was ready. And I happened to be the one who reached out to her. So, oh yeah, I have so many stories like that. I have a more recent one, Madison, of somebody, it was like, I'd been putting that one off. Like, I really, really want to do the business with that person, but oh my goodness, like putting that reach out off. So much respect for that person, so much value in the friendship. But finally just one day did it. I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I reached out, and it was a guy, and his response was like, no, I haven't considered it, but I would totally be willing to hear out my good friend as far as why you think it'd be a good fit for me. And so then I got to just be like, oh my goodness, well, here are all the reasons I think you'd be amazing at it. So there are tons of stories where I've been surprised in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
That's encouraging.
Yeah. And as Melody said, confidence comes after the action. After we take the action, even if we don't get that dreamy response, because I've had, I've been ignored too. But just proving to myself that I didn't die, it builds my confidence. Oh my goodness, I reached out to that person and I didn't die. Maybe I can. So it's worth it, even if the fruit isn't immediate.
Mm-hmm.
It is worthwhile. Okay, and with that, I see Alexis. So Alexis, are you able to unmute?
She's been popping on and popping off.
Popping on and off. Well, we may have some techie difficulties. Let's see. She's having service issues.
Oh, bummer.
Oh, wait. No. Okay, well, Megan, do you have anyone, do you want to kind of popcorn it out there for anyone else? Or did you see anything in the chat you wanted to dig into?
Yes, is there, let's see. Is Jennifer still on? Jennifer, hang on. Jennifer, did Jennifer pop off?
I see a few from, oh wait, I see Alexis's face now. Alexis, can you unmute?
Oh, there you are.
Yes.
Oh,
Sorry, my phone keeps disconnecting from the call for some reason. So if it hangs up, I'm sorry.
Hey, Walt, let's dive in really fast before your phone cuts out. Tell me really quick your wins, what you're excited about, kind of where you're at.
So I have 3 people that I've been consistently interacting with, and they have all signed up. They've all started it. And 2 out of the 3 have done the reset and enjoyed it. My grandma did it with me, and she struggled. We did it together, and she struggled a little bit with it. But she lost 2 pounds, I think it was. And she texted me. We just did it this last weekend. And so she texted me saying that her work uniform was looser this week. So that was exciting, because she had been struggling with not seeing as much like physical changes as I had seen. And so she was like, I don't think I'm doing it right, all the things. And so I just kind of kept telling her, like, you don't have, like, she is a smaller build than I am. And so she was doing she has a lot of bloating and stuff like that. And so she was doing it for a lot of those reasons. And she didn't feel like she was seeing progress until after the reset. She went back to her, like, started everything again. And she was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how much changes I had been seeing. And now, like, I've gone back, and she's like, my heart burns back, blah, all the things after the reset. And so it really, like, showed her how much she had seen during those times where she didn't think she was seeing anything. So that was really cool.
Awesome. Yeah. So you are Fast Start Silver, is that right?
Yes. And
Okay.
I'm struggling so bad to get and it's like, you get all of your close people to be like, okay, I'll try it with you. And then after that, you're like, oh, where do I go now?
Uh-huh.
Like that's where I am.
Okay. So senior silver is your next rank. Are you game
Right.
for continuing to share and help people and go to that next rank?
Oh yeah. So I unexpectedly became unemployed about 2 weeks ago, and my husband's like, quit talking about finding another job and just take Plexus to the next level. And I'm like, okay.
Yay! Yeah, awesome. Okay, so we would be going from the 3 that you've already helped and then adding 6 more people so that you would be senior silver, fast start senior silver. And so what I would suggest doing is getting Post-it notes. This is my Post-it note system. I don't know, I don't have the little tiny ones, but get Post-it notes and post them on your wall or your fridge or in front of your computer or whatever. And those are going to be your visual reminder every single day that you're going to help those people. You don't know who they are yet, but that's the fun part. That's the cool part is all of us on this call right now, we don't know who our next 6 people are that we're going to bless with Plexus. We don't know yet. That's okay because we will know in time, and those little Post-it notes are going to get filled in with a name. So that's one little tidbit of just a visual goal for you. Also, you said that you are unemployed, so there is probably a level of this is not just like a cute like, oh, I'm going to try this thing. This is actually like, I'm doing this thing. Would you agree?
Well, that's started, and then just 2 weeks ago I showed up to work, and then it didn't pan out that way, and things happen, and so now I'm here and like, okay, Lord, what do you want for me next? And he keeps shutting a bunch of new employment opportunity doors, and so I'm like, okay, so just kind of in that next situation of like, okay, Lord, what do you have for me?
Mm-hmm.
So
okay, well, tell me a little bit about like your why. I know we talked about this with medicine also, but what would be your why for doing Plexus?
So I actually used to babysit for Carissa whenever Cal was a baby. And I suffered really bad from migraines. And every time I go in, she'd be like, how are you feeling? Blah, blah. And I'd be like, well, another day, have another headache. And she'd be like, drink one of the drinks. And it always helped. And so that kind of like planted the seed in me. Gosh, how long ago was that, Carissa? 4 years ago?
Yeah, I think 4 or 5 years ago.
And so that was there. And then I stayed friends with Carissa through all this time. I loved watching the kids grow up and adding more kiddos to the family. And then I was diagnosed with PCOS 2 years ago, and kind of went through like the different weight loss things with my OBGYN of like what he recommended and all through that. And then I was talking to my cousin about it, and she was like, I'm really good friends with Jessica Heffley. She recommends Plexus for it. And so I started looking into it, and then I talked to a whole bunch of other people. And then as I got more interested, I really wanted to sign up under Carissa. And so I just reached out to her and was like, okay, I need to, like, we're trying to figure out family planning and all those things, and I really want a baby. And so I just was like, okay, let's do it.
So have you been on the products very long?
A month and a half, I think.
Okay, so
almost 2 months.
Very recently. Okay, got it. And the sharing piece for you, obviously you're looking at it as like, this is my option for employment because the other doors have closed. Can you expound a little bit on like what you would love that to be for your family? Or if you have a certain amount per month in mind that you would love Plexus to be bringing in for your family?
Well, before I lost my job, I was making like close to 4,000 a month. And so I would love to get to at least to that point. And my husband's kind of like go big or go home situation. And so he's like all in it for the long haul. And so just trying to get the confidence and the momentum to keep building. It took me all of like 28 days to get my second person signed up. I think on my first or second day, I got one person, and then it took me so long to get my second person. And then the next day I got my third person. And so it was like quick momentum there. And then it just like dropped off. And so I'm like, okay, I need to get that momentum going again. And so just moving back into that cycle.
Okay. Yeah. And that's totally normal for what we do in Plexus. Is like you'll have a dry spell and then all of a sudden everybody wants to start at the same time. And then sometimes you can look at what your actions are and see if there's any sort of correlation. But if you're consistent with your actions and you're consistent in doing specific things every day, make a post, reach out,
Right.
maybe ask someone, if they're willing to also make a post, right? If they're already on your team. Consistency in those actions will bear fruit, but it's not always immediate. So
Yeah.
you do those consistent things, and sometimes it's like, what's happening? Nobody's responding, and then all of a sudden things start happening. And so my question for you is, what do you do on a daily basis to share Plexus with people? Or tell us what you've done so far.
I typically post every day. I think up until like yesterday, I was posting every day. And then I talk to my close family. We have like a group chat and I message every day. 2 of the people who are on my team are in there. And so we will bounce back on like how we're feeling and stuff like that, and kind of exposing the other people in there. And then I was messaging the people who were liking my posts and stuff, but then it got to where the same people were liking my posts. And so it was just like reaching back out to those same people again. And then how do you like, okay, it's been 5 times now. Do you keep poking at them or do you let it rest a little bit? And so I think that's where I am on reaching out to people, is it's gotten difficult because it's the same few people liking my posts.
Okay.
So
have you gone live or done an in-person event yet?
I have not.
No? Okay. What are your thoughts on something like that?
The live makes me a little bit nervous because both of them make me nervous because I guess the in-person for sure makes me feel nervous because I don't feel confident in my knowledge of it at this point to do an in-person event. And then the live, I've never done a live video before, so that also is a little nerve-wracking.
Okay, got it. Okay, so one of the very first things that I was told when I started Plexus was do something scary every single day. And so Carissa gave us some really great thoughts to think at the beginning of this call, but that little do something scary every day quip has served me so well, because when I'm in the crossroads of, am I going to do the thing or am I not going to do the thing? That plays in my brain and I go to do the thing. And it always bears fruit, maybe not in someone signing up, but it bears fruit in my life because I went and did something scary and I didn't die. And the fruit that comes from that would be the motivation and confidence. And you kind of start stacking up those little building blocks of confidence and consistency and building the skill set, because every time you do it, you're going to get better. And so the first time you do it live, it's one of those things where it might not be, it'll be imperfect, and that's okay. That's what people want to see. I mean, they don't want to see perfect. They just want to see you and hear your voice and hear what your story has been.
Right.
Kylie is asking, go live and say what? So, Brooke, I did tell Brooke that she wouldn't die if she did a video. It's so true. You will not die. You'll get better and better as you keep doing it. I was just, when I started to do some live videos, I was so distracted by seeing myself on a video that it was hard to think my thoughts and communicate them. But now it's hard for me to actually do a video and not see myself talk. So it's so funny. Okay, so when you do a live video, you will simply jot down on a little Post-it card before you hop on live 5 things that you were experiencing pre-Plexus and 5 things that you are now not dealing with because of Plexus. Just super duper simple. And you can even say, kind of like what Carissa was saying with messaging a dream teamer, even like, oh my word, like I'm just I've been scared to message you. But I think the same kind of vulnerability hopping on a live video is like, oh my word, guys, I've been so scared to hop on live. But I thought it would be easier than me just trying to always text and convey my thoughts. So here it goes. I started these all natural supplements a month and a half ago. Before I started, these are the things I was dealing with. Since I have been inconsistent, since I've been consistent the last 6 weeks, these are the things I'm starting to notice. I'm still in process. I am making progress. I'm by no means arrived. I know that it's not going to be an overnight fix for me, but these are the things that Plexus is addressing. And you can just talk about really fast the 4 pillars: gut health, nutrient absorption, blood sugar balance, and reducing inflammation. You could just even jot those down so you don't forget to say them, but just as kind of little words that would maybe cause people to be like, oh, interesting. I never knew Plexus, helped people with nutrient absorption. Or it'll be something that maybe even part of your testimony that sparks something in them, because maybe in their mind Plexus equals weight loss, and you're over here talking about how it's helping balance hormones and you're noticing less PMS or whatever, whatever your story is. So I think just super short and sweet. You will not die. Smile. For people that are branding new and maybe don't have a health story yet, what I mentioned to Brooke is go on and share just your perspective on why supplements are important. You can even share, there's different ways to do it. Or you could be like, hey, I'm starting this thing and this is why. And then like Emily Gibson talks about, she's like, so you can end your live and be like, okay, that's all I have. This was really weird. Thanks for listening. Bye. She's like, you don't have to have it perfect. Like, just be yourself, right? Just like you're talking to that person that's struggling, right? That's what I always have to bring myself back to is I want to help. If this helps one person, for me to do something scary, then it's worth it, Okay, so the live video, that's anytime that when I started Plexus, if things kind of started to die down in terms of like people reaching out to me because they saw my post or whatever, I would go live. And every time I went live, it created some more conversations. Okay, and so I would encourage you to do the live. I'd also encourage you to do a live event, and not just to do one live event, but actually to do at least 2 back to back, and then followed up with a online event. And again, you don't have to be the expert. You're just saying, hey, these are the supplements that are helping me. I think they might help you guys too. And here's what I'm taking. And you could even play like one of the little video clips of like the microbiome video from Plexus or whatever. You don't have to do all the talking even.
Okay.
You don't have to be the expert. That's the beautiful thing. And so just to be getting in front of people to share your story, and it can look different ways, right? So it doesn't all have to be on social media. You could do some in-person things. And when you do that, it totally grows your skill set, right? Because we get better at sharing our story, we get better at in-person presentations. And again, people aren't looking for perfect. I still feel like I'm like, why anyone joins me with my imperfect, goofy stories, and half the time I feel like I jumble my words or forget half the story or whatever, half the testimony that I was going to share, or whatever. I think the key is that we're sharing what we've experienced, what we've seen and heard, and letting people choose for themselves. So, okay.
Yeah.
So you're posting daily, talking to people, reaching out to people that like your post. So yeah, are you in any 3-way messages?
I was to begin with whenever I was first trying to really figure out what exactly people needed to start with. And then I quit doing that, but I can start that again.
I mean, if you're in conversation, like if someone is conversational and willing to continue chatting with you, I would invite Carissa into the conversation and just be like, hey, here's my friend Carissa. She's super knowledgeable, super experienced. I thought it would be helpful for her to, chime in a few thoughts here also, because there is something magical when you include a third party. I'm not sure why, but she may be even able to help that person make that decision quicker of, yes, I'm going to start this. And also you can observe as she's talking to them, what she's doing, how she's steering that conversation, what specific questions she's asking. And then if she's not afraid to be like, okay, well, here's option 1, here's option 2, which one sounds like the one for you?
Yeah.
You know?
It seems like my biggest struggle is like completing the process. And so that was probably a good way to help finish it.
Yeah, so 3-way messages, and also go to YouTube. This will be your BFF. Everybody that's on this call, there's for all of us, we can up level our skill set. So if you feel like you're not good at closing the deal, go type in Plexus closing the deal and go listen while you're folding laundry or doing the dishes or something. Pop a video on so that you can be learning more of that skill set, more of, and like we've talked to people and told people before, like listen to them talk about it until that becomes the way you think, until it becomes second nature, and you can repeat that with confidence and with a flow that feels natural, but where you're gleaning from other people's wisdom because they've literally done it for 6 years or whatever. And even though you're a month in, you're able to glean from that skill set quickly and implement that fast because you're listening to how someone that's really skilled at doing that does it. Does that help? Right. Or give you some ideas? So it's that kind of multifaceted approach where we're inviting, Carissa into a conversation. We're also training, like proactively training ourselves so we can get better at the skill set, and then also just putting it into practice. And I think that's what's so cool is like we get on the job training. So I would also challenge you to be talking to everybody everywhere.
Yeah.
Not necessarily because you think you're going to sign up the grocery store lady or the person at the post office that's sending your Plexus samples, but just to give you more of the skill set of talking in person. Because I mean, social media is great, and I think it's great to utilize, but it's not the only way, getting comfortable in person.
This weekend, whenever I was doing the reset with my grandmother, we went to Target to go try to like distract ourselves from the food and everything. And I'm telling you, we went to yard sales everywhere we went. She was like, we're doing the reset. And like, she told the cashier, every single person we talked to, she was like, we haven't eaten real food since Thursday. She was like, and we're doing great and we're feeling great. And I mean, every single person, I was like, oh, Nana, you're the cutest.
That's hilarious. Well, I sometimes feel like my grandpa is just such a great networker and salesman. He's like, hey, I have this person that's ready to talk to you. He talks about like the retirement village, ready to sign him up or whatever. But it's really cute. But we can learn from those people. Like they're not afraid to talk, right? And just like, oh my word, here's our experience.
Yeah.
Is there anything coming up for you that you're like kind of fearful of or scared about or feel uncomfortable doing?
At first I was like afraid of what my close family would think. And then the one person who I was super concerned about it ended up, signing up under me. And so I was like, oh, like it took the full first month to get that to happen. But then they ended up doing it and I was like, okay, and so that was kind of like my only thing.
Is that one person worried that they were going to be a hater or something? Yeah. And it's just really interesting who is ready at what time. Sometimes closest family and friends are the ones that are just like kind of hands off, not interested. And that's okay. You can totally build a diamond team without your close family and without your closest friends.
Yes.
So, I mean, yeah.
Everyone on my team is family. And so my husband's like, well, I really want you to get someone who's not family. And I'm like, I'm trying.
Yeah, you will. Yeah, consistently posting. Another thing I forgot to ask you, have you hosted an online event yet?
No.
Okay. So so we talked about 3-way messages. We talked about going live. I'm giving you a bunch of things, but we talked about in-person events and online events. So basically where you're basically widening the net, because your team may not grow as fast as it could grow if you only post on social media and it's only posts and it's never live in your stories, or it's never like just popping on live and sharing your testimony, right? So we're kind of we're expanding the net of the things to do in order to be in front of a bigger audience. So I would write those things down, because that's what's going to propel you to senior silver, and also to senior silver, and then to gold.
Okay.
And then also, if you're looking at increasing your Plexus income to $4,000 a month, you would want to be at that senior ruby level. Okay, so the ranks would go after gold, it would be senior gold, and then ruby, and then senior ruby. And so just as a perspective,
Okay.
where you're looking. But you know what's cool is this opportunity, the skills are completely learnable. The mindset stuff that we have to learn, that we grow in, it's a joy, honestly. Like, it helps us grow as people in ways that you maybe would never grow otherwise. I have a friend in ministry, and she's like, I've grown more in this past 6 years of Plexus than I have in decades of ministry. So isn't it interesting how sometimes God puts us in a situation, or puts us in a context where we get to learn specific skills that up level like every area of our life. That's a good place to be. And get your post-it notes posted, because that'll give you a visual for those people, and you can even start praying over those people. Really quick before we close, I'll just share a couple of insider scoops with you, and I shared this on a call last night as well. When I first started Plexus, there was a couple specific ways I prayed. But one of the ways that I prayed was that God would magnify the hours of my day and bless the work of my hands, because I truly felt that this was an opportunity that I was just asking him to help me with, because I knew I couldn't do it on my own and I needed help. And I just had my 5th baby, and so life was just crazy at the time, but I was like, I know this can help a lot of people. So my vision was big, almost bigger than what I felt like I really had bandwidth or time for. So it's like, okay, Lord, you're gonna have to work it out. Bring me the people. So that comes from Psalm 90, the last couple verses of that. And then the second or third thing, I guess, I prayed was specifically that God would put people on my mind that needed the products in the business, and or that he would bring people to me. And so every day I would pray in faith, with massive faith and a lot of expectancy, like, okay, you're gonna bring me today. And while I did that and prayed that, I was also very proactive in creating conversations, looking at who is liking my posts. Now that we have stories, you can actually do the swipe up feature where you can see who is looking at your stories. So that's another thing to do. But looking at those other little angles too, like I opened my home and had people over. I had no idea if anyone would even come, to the sip and see. I didn't really know much except what I was experiencing, and that people needed to try the products. I think I maybe had like 1 stick of Slim left in my package, but I was like, I'm going to host something. Well, we'll just mix it in a mason jar and we'll split it. It'll be fine. So do it imperfectly, and it's totally fine, because you learn as you go, and sometimes when you get a little idea and you're like, oh, that would be a fun idea, implement those things quickly, because here, someone's trying to get in. Implementing quickly, I think, is really helpful in continuing to grow. The people that have joined your team so far, are they game for sharing?
So the second one was like, yes, I'm gonna do it. So I immediately sent her all the training videos, and I was like, watch these in order. And then I guess the next day, I think we talked, it's my aunt. So we talked, and then the next day I reached out and I was like, hey, have you watched any of the videos? And she was like, no. And I was like, okay. And so then we would have casual family talk. And then I'd say, hey, have you talked to anyone yet? Or, just keep reaching out. And everyone was like, no. And I was like, okay. And then I asked someone else who's on the team, and I was like, hey, have you thought about, spreading and having people sign up under you? And she's like, no. I was like, okay. And then my grandma was like, I would love to have people sign up under me, but I don't know, And so I'm like, okay.
Yeah. So I love that you're asking those questions because you're planting a seed. And
Right.
some people are going to like go make a post and sign up people without you even asking them. Other
Yeah.
people, because you asked and planted that seed, it might spark something in them, where maybe they will say no at first, but sometimes they'll, that will start to grow and they'll think, oh, well, my friend at work could totally
Right.
benefit from this. Or, and I've even said, what was funny is like, so whether they say yes or no, I will often voice message back, or if we're in person, I'll tell them, I'll say, what was interesting is that when I started the products, I started to think of these different people in my life that I knew struggled with IBS, or they wanted to stay home with a baby, or just, I don't know, people started coming to my mind. And so it was one of those things where I felt like an obligation, like I needed to at least tell them about it. And then it
Right.
was on them if they wanted to try it or, do the business with me or whatever. So
Right.
so keep doing that as people join your team, encourage them. You might even say, hey, if I wrote up a little post, would you be game for posting it on Facebook and just tagging me? That's a little ask that's very simple, and they don't really have to think about it.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions popping up?
I don't think so. This was like a good little push for the next level to, see how to spread it more. So I am glad that I jumped on, got those helpful tips.
Yay, good. Yes. Well, keep up the good work. I'm positive that you will have a team growing as you continue to share and you stay consistent in those actions, and then as you implement those little ideas that I gave you. So we have this recorded, so you can go back and re-listen and then jot down some notes and some maybe first steps, and be chatting with Carissa like, okay, this week this is what I'm going to do. Okay.
Right.
And then kind of have a little plan for, okay, this is what I'm going to do the next week, or this is what I'm going to do after I do this scary action step.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be scary. You know what I mean? Like when I say the scary thing,
Right.
it's not really truly scary. We're not going to die by doing the thing, but it may be uncomfortable or causing us to grow in our skill set. So it's stretching us a little bit, but that's a good thing. We have to rewire our brain with how we think about those things.
Yeah.
All right, well, keep up the good work. The next time we hop on one of these calls, you're going to be senior silver, and we're going to be celebrating you. Big time. So fun. Well, thank you for being on. Carissa, do you have anything else before we close out?
Well, I wanted to play a little clip of something, and I know it'll put us a little past 9, but I just think it'll be so good to have it on the recording, because in the talk of what do I say on a live video, I pulled up a little clip from Emily Gibson, and I just want to play it, because I just think it's so great. And she's
really good.
I'm going to do that. Can y'all hear this if I play it real loud? Let me see. Nod if you can hear it.
I always send a voice message and I say, hey, I was thinking, what if you did a Facebook Live where you just get on and you're like, hey, this is so weird. I never do these things, but I just had to come and tell you because I started taking this stuff and it's really helped. Before I started taking it, I wasn't sleeping. My hair was falling out. I was bloated. I wasn't really pooping. I know I don't like talking about that. Wow, this is so weird, but I'm pooping every day. It's sort of amazing. My sugar cravings went away. I've lost 4 pounds in 3 days. And now that I've been taking it for a week or however long they've been taking it, I just can't believe I'm falling asleep in 5 minutes. My hair stopped falling out. My mood issues have gone away. I'm pooping. I'm not bloated. Anyway, this is so weird. I hope you have the courage to message me. And I'd love to chat if you're struggling with any of these things. Okay, bye. Would you be willing?
There we go. So everybody who hasn't gone live yet, doesn't have to be perfect. The more imperfect, the better. Put it out there. Cast the wider net. So I just wanted to play that since that was a topic for tonight.
Yes. Thank you. Hilarious.
I know, right?
That.
Yes, we can all do that. We do not have to be experts to do that. And that in that context, she was saying that's what I tell other people to do. So that's that next level layering in that duplication. Okay. But first, more is caught than taught. So as you put yourself out there and do that, then you can then challenge your team to do the same because you're leading by example. So I just wanted to put that out there. Okay, so with that, thank you everybody so much who jumped on tonight. We're so thankful for this opportunity to talk with you all and just hear a little bit of your hearts and gather strength from one another. Courage is contagious. So thank you everybody for being brave together. We'll go ahead and let everybody sign off for tonight. I already prayed us in, so I won't pray us out. I'll just say, God bless. Have an amazing week. Do something scary every day. And come tell us when you do, because we'll celebrate with you. Even if we don't see any immediate fruit, we'll celebrate that you did the thing, you grew, you were right. We do have coaching next Tuesday as well. It's going to be open to all ranks. It's not rank specific, but it is activity specific. So for the people that are consistently doing your winning day or doing your 20 messages a day, that's who that coaching is for. So I hope everybody will clock those days in and be able to be there. And next week is going to be led by Emerald Ambassador Cassie Howard and Emerald Ambassador Melody Detweiler. Super excited to be coached by them. So we'll see you guys then. Okay, good night.